Evening. Today is Monday, February 22nd, 2021. It is now 5:03 p.m. This is the Westwood Select Board. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 23rd, 2020 emergency order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this February 22nd, 2021 Select Board meeting will be conducted via remote participation by the board. This meeting is being live streamed by the Westwood Media Center. It will be filmed and it will be available for viewing after this meeting. Anybody wishing to participate in the meeting may use the functions of Zoom. I'm going to move right into the chair's update. We have some news. First, I want to welcome Donna Mcclellan, a Westwood resident. Each year, the Select Board recognizes those Westwood employees who've reached a 25-year milestone. And this year, Donna is part of that auspicious group. So thank you, Donna, for all of your service. Donna was hired by the town in 1996, having worked in the private sector as an engineer for Stephen Webster. Donna started her career in Westwood as a computer systems analyst, and in 2000 was promoted to the Geographic Information Systems Analyst. Donna was promoted once again to the Director of Information Technology in 2002, and she has held that role for now over 18 years. Donna and her team have been invaluable to the town, and in particular over the past year, coordinating remote access and equipment so that our employees could continue to offer services to our residents during the pandemic. Donna oversees all software and hardware operations for all municipal departments. Donna also supports the school department with administrative programs, including student scheduling, attendance records, and grading programs. Donna is always available to help at any time, day or night, and is incredibly appreciated by employees throughout the town. Donna's skills extend far beyond IT. Many town staff have been gifted with beautiful Christmas ornaments handcrafted by Donna herself. Donna has lived in Westwood since 1984 with her husband, Mark. They raised their children, Matt and Rebecca, in Westwood. And I was incredibly impressed, Donna, as you know, that both of your children were their respective class valedictorians. And we know there was a lot of hard work going on at home. Congratulations, Donna, on achieving this milestone, and thank you for all you have done for the town of Westwood.
Thank you very much. I consider myself very lucky to work for the town of Westwood and very appreciative to work with the group of individuals that I consider to be very skilled and dedicated. So it's truly been my pleasure. Thank you again.
Great. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Donna.
Can I make a note?
Oh, of course.
We have had an amazing staff work through these very difficult COVID times. And I think Donna was probably amongst the first who had to climb the mountain and help everybody work remotely productively. And so it's not to take anything away from all the other hard work that people have done, but Donna, you were an incredible asset to this community to allow us to have that kind of effort in town from our staff. So thank you for that in particular, but congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And you like us, Donna.
Yes, I do.
Even
It'd be
after
a tough
25
bunch.
years, yes.
I know. And also tonight joining us is Trish Perry, our director of the library. And unfortunately, Trish is here tonight for us to say goodbye. Trish will be leaving the town of Westwood after 8 years of distinguished service. Trish joined the town of Westwood in 2014, having come from the town of Millis. And from the beginning of her tenure, Trish was called upon to utilize excellent library management skills, but oversaw a great deal of contractors. And she has had to shepherd the newly renovated main library through the final phases of its construction and reopening. Under Tricia's leadership, the library increased its number of programs by more than 20%. The number of patrons attending library programs increased by 128%. That's amazing, Tricia, and that was really due to your hard work. This past year during COVID, Tricia and her team have demonstrated extraordinary creativity and ingenuity in delivering programs and services virtually for all of the town's residents. Tricia's vision and guidance, the library has well-established reputation for being innovative and welcoming to all. So Trish, we really thank you. You did a lot. We were really fortunate to build that new library, and you maximized it. And we really do appreciate all you did for us.
Thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure working in Westwood, and I think that you have a great team of incredible staff here at the library that really are poised for the next vision for, what happens next in Westwood. And I think it's just green lights all the way ahead. So thank you, and I will miss you all.
Well, I'd like to add, Tricia, that there were doubters about our need for a new library when that path was being pursued. And people wondered if a library was really going to be what it used to be, a place where people would go, where programs would occur. And I think under your leadership, you have proven that not only is it still an important place, it's the heart of the community. And I think you should feel tremendous pride in what you have done to show us all how enriching and valuable a resource like a well thought out library with so many facets to it can really mean what it can really mean to a community. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. And Tom Beatty's vision was, very spot on. And
Yeah.
I don't know, we've been able to respond to COVID, in a way that the library just pivoted and the staff pivoted, and just been great.
Yeah. Well done.
Great job.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trish. Okay, we're going to move on to, we're going to talk about COVID-19 vaccination update. As many residents may have heard, the governor and the administration of state government pivoted away from local administration of the COVID vaccines and will no longer be sending first doses to the town of Westwood and to many other municipalities. This board believes that is a mistake, as do many of our advocates in the Massachusetts Municipal Association and other cities and towns throughout the Commonwealth. And Jared Orsini, our health director, is here tonight just to talk about what that actually means for residents who are pursuing the vaccine. It was very discouraging news, and we still want to do all that we can for our residents. But Jared, I'll turn that over to you, maybe just to talk about what that actually means and how we can best help folks.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so the Board of Health obviously is disappointed and frustrated at the direction that the governor has taken with regard to our ability to hold clinics for our residents. It's not just, efficiency. There's access issues, I think, that may not be on his mind, that are really directly impacting the ability of folks to get to these mass vaccination sites. I know, they say that if you're within a 45 minutes drive of a mass vaccination site, then that's considered accessible. Well, that is, I think, a burden for many beyond what would be sort of reasonable. So we're trying on our end to advocate for a reconsideration, as well as many others. So at least where we are today, we are trying to complete our 75 plus vaccine requests for first doses. We have a few dozen folks left who will be utilizing our final first dose clinic, unless they, to get vaccinated. The state has committed to supplying second doses to everyone who's already received their first dose at the senior center. So folks should expect 7 to 10 days prior to their appointment for their second dose that they will get an identical email link that they had received the first time around, so that they can go online and schedule their second dose at the senior center by picking a time from the list, the same way they did the first time around. So we have 3 second dose clinics we'll have to run. And then once those are complete, I think that will be it. We will shut down the COA and try to see if there are any other opportunities out there. I know the state had communicated to us an interest in vaccinating the homebound, and we've already, through the fire department, we've already reached out and had tremendous impact on some of the homebound folks. So I think in that regard, I think we're probably ahead of the curve, to the credit of Westwood Fire. We are able to reach those folks. So, that's sort of just, we're holding steady now, hoping maybe something will change, but that's our plan moving forward. So for anybody who's already gotten their first dose at the COA, they should plan on seeing us for their second dose. If they panic and run out to Gillette or somewhere else to get their second dose, then that potentially will leave us with unaccounted for second doses, which would then possibly be wasted because we are not going to get any more vaccine after that. So we're hoping that folks stay with us, being assured by the Commonwealth that a second dose is coming when it's their time to get it.
Thanks, Jared. I know, so we still have the COVID-19 hotline, the 781-320-1085. And I believe the senior center will help people try to get appointments at places other than Westwood.
Well, people that are having a hard time scheduling can call and reach out for assistance. We can't find appointments. I mean, we're, in the same boat pretty much as everybody else. So, if residents think that if they call the senior center or us, we're somehow going to be able to connect them to an actual appointment, that unfortunately is not the case. The 211 number would probably be the most efficient way for a resident without an internet and email access to get an appointment for a vaccine at one of the mass vaccine sites, or they call directly to one of the CVSs that's participating, or one of the other pharmacies. So, that's kind of where it is. They sort of pulled us away from most of this. We're not even really able to sign people up for the mass vaccination sites because in order for them to get an appointment, they have to go on to the mass vaccine finder and secure an appointment. And then it's like, you have a 10-minute window to fill out your, your information and secure your appointment at Gillette or wherever before that appointment may be pulled by someone else. So, that unfortunately is the system that is going to be taking over as of right now.
That's unfortunate. Thank you for the update.
Yeah.
Jared, how many, when you and the chief were before us about a month ago, you mentioned gearing up to do the local vaccine centers at the COA. How many were we geared up to be capable of doing? Not how much did we do daily but if we had as much inventory as we could handle, what were we capable of doing?
I think we were capable of doing a couple hundred per day. I don't think that was ever going to be the system that we were going to be able to implement there, just because the senior center still has programming and Meals on Wheels and other things going on there. So
Sure.
we had originally planned on like a 200 doses, maybe 2 days a week, as sort of our contribution to the vaccination effort. So I think that we all thought that was reasonable and could accommodate, a fair amount of our residents who didn't have access to Gillette. That was one of the things I think when we first planned this out, we said, okay, you know what, if you're able and you can make the drive to Gillette, you get your appointment, go, leave our COA spots for the people that have issues with mobility, issues with transportation, issues with, higher health needs that need to really be close. And so that was sort of what we planned on doing. I think so far we've done about 500 doses all total. From the beginning of our vaccine agreement till now. So I think when it's all wrapped up, if we don't get any additional leeway from the governor, we'll come in somewhere around 1,000, probably a little bit less than that.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. I think it's just terrible that local effort isn't going to continue to be supported at the scale of a Westwood. I know that the state is saying if you can do a much larger volume per week, but I still think we should be in the game here. I think we can make a difference.
The irony of the volume comment is we were doing what they would give us.
Everything.
Jared, you could have done more.
We could have
They
done
gave
more.
you more.
Right, we wouldn't have been able to get to the scale that they've put out in the memo about, whatever, 500 doses per day, every single day. I don't think that would have been reasonable. As a board, we are partnering with our colleagues in the RNC8, health group to petition to be declared a regional vaccination site. So we are pursuing that. I don't believe even Norfolk County was even listed in the eligible counties. So I think it's a hugely difficult road to get to that level. But we have commitments from our group in NC8 to meet the minimum requirement that they put forward. I just feel like their position, the state's position, is that they have ample mass vaccination sites in Norfolk County, between Gillette and the TripAdvisor, and now the Natick Mall, I think, has.
As of today.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they look at our county as being, sort of all set, quote unquote, and now they want to deploy elsewhere. I don't think any of us working in local health understand the logic of just diverting a couple hundred doses to each of our towns. We haven't wasted in Westwood. We have not wasted a single dose, having done almost 500 doses. We're able to get people within minutes to show up if somebody has to call in sick or doesn't or gets an appointment somewhere else. I mean, we spend a lot of time contacting folks saying, "Hey, I had 3 people who were supposed to come to this clinic. They just told me they didn't get appointments at Gillette. So I have three spots. Can you take one?" And they're like, "Sure." "Well, can you be here in 12 minutes? Yeah, I'll be there in 5.
Yeah.
So in terms of not wasting vaccine and being efficient, I think we've answered that. Tremendously proud of everything we've done. I just feel like, we were just getting started. So it is kind of a blow to our sense of contributing in a larger way to the vaccination effort. Being stifled at this point is very disappointing.
I know we're going to take this up later, John. I think, a lot of things have changed as this has been rolled out, and I think it's time for another change, and that's taking a step back and adding the communities back in. It's a win-win situation. It complements all the larger scale effort. So I don't see any reason why we can't, other than they're concerned about their ability to distribute the vaccines. And I think that's already been demonstrated that it got to communities like ours efficiently and safely because you used all the vaccines. You didn't waste anything.
And I think that the really tragic part of this is, over the years, the money that has been spent on preparing for this moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And that we don't utilize this infrastructure that we've built.
Right. That's 100% true. The amount of time, money, effort that was diverted into preparedness and mass, sort of, vaccination and all of the training, we volunteered for, and some was mandated. So, why run us through all of these exercises over, decades, going back to H1N1 and flu clinics and all these things, only for when the time is here for us to really roll out and see this is what local health can do, to have them sort of, turn course and go in a different direction. They even had, at our last call, they had said to our group, they opened up the floor, and Larry Ramden, who's a health director in another community, said, when we signed this agreement, the Janet Ferguson at the state and Ron and everyone else, they said, you need to commit. If we're going to give you guys this vaccine, you're going to commit through phase 3, which is all the way to the end, pretty much. You're talking June, July. You need to be on board. You're not just going to do, your first couple groups. And we're like, oh, that's a big commitment, but you know what? We're going to rise to the occasion. We're going to make it work. And we signed on, and then it's like they decided.
Yeah, we invested.
At this point, they said, well, yeah, forget all that. So it's been frustrating. We're still in the fight. We're going to do whatever we can to try to do what we can. Like I said before, do what we can with what we have.
You know, I don't want to leave it on a down note because, well, that's frustrating. I just, you know, we all appreciate everything you've done and your team and the fire department has done to get vaccines to people and also to respond to inquiries, to do contact tracing. So you're still making a difference.
Thank you. And it's been a joy being at the COA and seeing,
Mhm.
seeing the faces of folks who end up getting vaccinated, and people, people are chatting, and there's such a warmth there. And I know that a lot of that credit goes to Lena and her people, because that building just has such good energy. So, we've definitely, for our part in this, even if it becomes, a fait accompli that we're going to be done in a few weeks, I think, as a community, we should all be very proud of what we were able to put together. It's a shame that it can't really see its full potential, but, like everything in this pandemic, you adjust and adapt and keep moving. So we'll be there for whatever's next. I promise you that.
Mr. Chair,
Thanks, Jared.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
just want to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, first of all, thank you, Jared, but also thank you to Chief Deckers, the fire department, and all the paramedics. Carolyn Wade works for the fire department, who was literally on the phone contacting everyone on that list. To Lena, to Jared and his team, to IT. So we just spoke with Donna earlier on all the work that she did to get that link up there for residents to register. And the volunteers, we also had many members of the planning and economic development team who were contacting people, helping them with the registration in addition to COA. And also our own Tricia, who helped to make sure that all that worked very smoothly. So I don't want to take too much time, but I certainly want to thank all those involved.
It's important. It was a lot of work. It really was a lot of work. And 500 people is, still an accomplishment.
It's 500 people. I mean, they're one of the big things when we've been doing this is the when you get the spreadsheets, when it was all COVID positive, when you start to I saw names of folks who called me worried or concerned about how things were going, how Westwood was doing, what their level of sort of risk was, and to see those names on a list of people who actually came in and got vaccinated was just really rewarding and really brought a light to us where it's been a lot of negative, but to see those names, it was like, hey, great. That was really nice. So that was one thing I definitely would take away. But I thank you all. I thank everybody who's helped us. I mean, obviously, without fire, this wouldn't be much of anything. So they really deserve so much credit, and all the volunteers, the land use folks, Nora and Karen and Tiana and Tish. Just like, not to belabor, but everybody Chris mentioned has just been indispensable. Joan. Everybody's helped us. We couldn't do this as a local board of health without the rest of the town helping. So everybody did answer the bell, and we will always be grateful for that.
All right. Thank you, Jared. Hopefully there's more to come, and hopefully the state changes course.
Hope so.
Take
care, everybody.
Okay, good night. Okay, we're moving on. Sarah, are you with us?
I am.
Hi, Sarah. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well. Do you want to just give us an update on these 2 new units?
Yes. So I'm Sarah Bouchard. I'm the town's housing and zoning agent. I am submitting to you this evening a request to approve the local action unit application to the Department of Housing and Community Development at the state level for 2 new affordable housing units in town. These are 2 single-family homes that have been purchased by the Westwood Affordable Housing Associates, which is the nonprofit arm of the Westwood Housing Authority. They received funds from the select board in December 2019 with the charge to watch the market and to obtain properties to be utilized for affordable housing and serve those interests in the town. The Housing Authority, WAHA, did that. And when these 2 units came on the market, they were able to successfully purchase these properties, give them the renovations and repairs they needed to be suitable for this need, and have prepared, with my help, this application to the state to be certified on the subsidized housing inventory. So they are 42 Lanark Drive, which is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, and 14 Gate Street Extension, which is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. The WAHA has secured an affordable housing marketing agent who has done work in Westwood before, together an affirmative plan that complies.
All right, so I'll see you at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, John,
I am proposing.
Sarah, we're losing you. I don't know if it's just me.
Yeah, I think we're kind of freezing up here. Connors, who is that?
That's on Sarah's end.
Oh, okay. Sarah, I think
A
it's
little
you.
staticky.
No, you're losing your microphone, Sarah.
Yeah, close everything else down.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Or speak up.
Okay,
We haven't lost you all together.
all right. Is this any better?
Yeah, just stay closer to the screen.
Okay. So I'm requesting approval of the local action unit application so that we could submit this to the state for approval.
That's a way to sum it up in a hurry.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, I don't have any questions. I don't know if anybody has any questions or if we're ready for.
No, I can tell you, it's the longest application I've seen in a long time.
I know.
Oh, it is,
I know.
yeah. And Sarah, when would, in the course of events, when would, is it done, did you say by lottery? It would be a lottery? So when would that be held?
Not until the regulatory agreement is signed can they start marketing. Marketing starts and needs to be open for 60 days.
Yeah,
So we wouldn't be filling these units for another few months, but they are ready to move quickly once they receive their state approval.
okay, so we're talking 3-4 months?
I'd say that's fair.
Okay, all right. So I'll move that the select board authorize the select board chair, John Hickey, to sign the local action unit application for the 2 affordable housing units located at 42 Lanark Drive and 14 Gay Street Extension, as purchased by the Westwood Affordable Housing Associates, and for the application to be submitted to the Department of Housing and Community Development for approval.
And I'll second that motion.
I will take the roll. Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Sarah, thank you for all of your efforts on this. This is great.
Everyone.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, next up, the annual town meeting article discussion, potential vote to amend, to accept, and or to remove. PM, I don't know if you want to go through specifically. I have one that I wanted to talk about. Do you have anything in advance?
Well, just on the capital budget articles, sometimes as we go through the capital processes, there are items that have particular funding or they're going to require borrowing. They need to be in their own article. So we had been looking at having an article to borrow 2 pieces of equipment, the DPW truck for $250,000 and the fire swap body truck. So they need to be separate because we do need that borrowing authorization. When we were into the FinCom, I believe 2 weeks ago, when we were presenting and going through the budget, they did ask if the select board would consider splitting that article into 2 articles to have each of those capital items in their own article. Just as a way for them to consider it and look at the pieces separately. So if that's the case, we would need 2 additional capital articles to handle those 2 borrowings.
Oh, we can't just split that one into 2? Well, we really need, we can leave one with one of the pieces of equipment and add a second one with the other piece of equipment, right? Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
go ahead. Celia,
I
I'm
was
sorry.
going to say, I was attending that meeting, the Zoom meeting with Finance Commission, and it really was, FinCom has considered this in the past where they've said, you've got 2 big considerations, or in the past, maybe more than that, and it's difficult when they're all combined in one article that they all rise together or fall together. And they just said, wouldn't it be easier if they were two separate articles? I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting. And that's what Pam is showing us tonight, just to have them treated separately so the discussions can be distinct and the votes distinct.
Okay, with that, we had talked last time about number 10, Article 10. I don't think it's necessary, and it's
Right.
causing some confusion. So I would just hope to remove that. Is that okay?
It's fine with me.
So that would be one amendment, and then do we need to,
But John,
make a?
John,
Oh,
can
sorry,
I
go
just
ahead.
ask a question? So,
Yeah.
so Pam, obviously you put this on, right? Do you think that it's necessary to have a separate account for affordable housing?
Not with the adjustments that we talked about at your last meeting. So tonight you just, kind of approved the application for the units that WAHA purchased. That was through funding from the select board. So there's a mechanism in place for you to do that with any funding that's coming in. So really your current practice. This article, if we want to set aside funds and use them at town meeting, we need this type of account. But it's not very flexible as far as purchasing property and that type of thing. So I don't think it's the right vehicle for the housing if you have another process in place.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
do you want to take care of that administrative aspect before we get into the articles in more detail? Is that what you'd like to do, John?
Yeah, I mean, I
Let's
guess
start.
I'm wondering, should we deal with number 10 and then deal with what Pam talked about with the two purchases? Just
Right.
to clean up
Looks to
the
weigh in.
roster.
John, Mr. Hearn looks to weigh in.
Oh,
Pat,
I'm sorry.
Can't hear you, Pat.
Yeah, Pat, we can't hear anything. And
He
you're,
and Sarah need a new sound technician.
no,
Can't hear you.
call Chris.
Yeah, call
Call
Chris.
Chris and let Chris tell us what you're thinking.
Either that or there must be a dial-in number for your phone as well for this call.
There he is. Oh,
No,
I'm not sure we want to know what he's saying right now.
hold on. Let's see. Where is my-
Just be careful. We're all on video right now. He's giving us sign language now.
Pat, you can call in, Pat, on your phone. You can call 888-475-4499. And you can actually call in. Yes, that's
Say it again.
888-475-4499. And we'll get audio through your phone.
You will need the passcode though. Do you need the passcode? It's 136909. 136909.
We'll get you in one way or another, Mr. Hearn.
Yeah, it's fine. We have time.
Here he comes. Okay, hopefully.
Oh, there he is.
Right, now you have Connie, you have to let him in.
I
Yep.
don't see him just yet.
We'll have to let him in when he comes in.
He's making a face like it's not working. He's blowing it off.
He can call me if he wants.
Okay, he likes that idea.
Pat, I just sent you the information to your phone. Okay.
Technical difficulties.
It's amazing how smoothly these have gone in general, though.
I know.
Who would have thought? We've been doing this for almost a year.
Hi. Hold on, let me put you on speaker and see if they can hear you. Hold on. All right, now speak.
No,
All right,
Can't
go
hear
ahead.
it, Trish.
I can hear you. Go ahead. Pat would like to recommend that you take it off, wait to take it off until after tomorrow night's planning board meeting.
Oh,
So
okay,
wait until the next meeting, your next select board meeting.
okay, that's fine.
But Pam, would you like us to go ahead and?
He said he's in favor of removing it, but wants to make sure that that you have a clear path to proceed forward, correct? Yeah, yes.
Pam, would you like us to break article, which article is it?
Well, we were considering those under Article 8. We would break those into 2 additional borrowing articles.
You hear that?
Those are now proposed to the select board as budgets 14 and 15.
It was 8 before, number 8 before?
Yes.
Well, we usually just say capital budget, and then as we move on, if we need to break those out. So we hadn't really had them as a separate article.
But we did.
But what if we do this? I mean, what if Pat attends that meeting tomorrow night, and then between now and when we attend FinCom on the 8th, we could just straighten out the administrative pieces.
Well, I
That's a
think it
thought.
would be, John, I think
Easier.
it's actually a good idea to have the capital items go to FinCom in advance as 2 separate articles,
Okay.
as opposed to saying we did it right before. I just think it's cleaner from a communication standpoint.
Okay.
I'll
So-
make it simple. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Do you guys mind? I know the chief has a presentation for it. I might be the minority, and that wouldn't be unusual sometimes. But I don't know that I'm in favor of breaking them up. I'd like to hear the chief's presentation first and see. I know they suggested it, but I'm not so sure. I mean, we've never really done it before. And I think it's that important that maybe keeping them together. I mean, I would hate to see a street sweeper get through before the protection of the firefighters. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Okay.
So if you don't mind,
like that,
just like
that's fine.
Yeah, just until.
I'm
at least he
fine,
gives
John,
a
with that. Are you?
Presentation.
Yeah,
Is that okay, John?
I don't. PM, the
mean-
genesis of separating them was from FinCom?
They mentioned it at our meeting that we were in, and really I would say it came more from last year, where we had a warrant article that had some field work and pool work in it. And the board was a little bit split on some of those items, and some of them had expressed a desire to approve some of the pool work, but perhaps not the field. So I think it really came more from that than these specific items. They
Okay.
said, when we come to these bigger pieces, is there a way that we could look at them separately?
Okay, so with that, do we want to go to, is John on? Does John
Yes,
want to talk
yes.
about
Yes,
his
he is.
article? Okay, so I'm fine. Nancy, you fine if we go to John?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
Thank
John,
you.
we'll turn it over to you.
All right, well, good evening. Thank you for having me in tonight to chat about this, because I guess there's definitely some confusion on this piece of apparatus. So I just want to clear that up. But my slide presentation that I put together really just speaks to the multi-purpose vehicle, or the swap body vehicle as it's been called. But before I get started, I want to make sure I put out there that, the fire department has been blessed with the monies that we've been able to get from the town and the taxpayers to invest in our capital. We have some of the best resources that any community could have. I want to make sure that we get that out there. And there's a lot of things that go into, deferring a request down the road. And, we'll talk a little bit about that in my presentation. So if I can share my screen, I'll show you the PowerPoint presentation that I put together. But I just wanted to make sure that I could say thank you in this process. I can share?
Yeah, you should have the ability with the screen share down below.
Okay. Can everyone see my first slide?
Yes.
Okay. So we're basically going to talk about the multi-purpose vehicle. And in doing so, these are 2 pictures of what the vehicles would look like. In your lower left-hand corner, you're looking at a fire truck and what's known as a swap body apparatus, or a multi-purpose apparatus. Ours would be a little bit bigger because it fits a different need, But like the upper one, I could drop it at a location, drive away and go pick up another body that we need for that, that incident. So just as a summary of the request, the current request is actually a request to replace existing pieces of apparatus. It's not this new, add something new to the fleet because we saw a need. This is actually a change in philosophy in taking two existing pieces, two 30-some-odd-year-old pieces, and changing it to one piece that can serve in more than one function. It's not a new piece of apparatus, but a changing concept on how the Westwood Fire Department would deploy our resources. It's not a wish list, as I said. And basically the big thing I want to put out there is this, the cost of this request is $400,000 instead of $915,000 to maintain our current fleet of our inventory. So we're looking to make some, yes, major changes, but it's a different philosophy that we're trying to do. And we're going to save the taxpayers money in doing that.
So John, you're saying if we had to replace the two as a 2-for-2, it would cost $915,000?
By the time we're done, both of those trucks are $400,000 a piece. The new trucks that we would need to do to meet the current specifications. Plus, I have to add in a new piece of equipment, which is a self-contained breathing apparatus, a cascade system that is Station 1 is basically on its last legs, but we were going to hold off because that was part of the $400,000 swap body request. We were putting that inside of that request when we build it out because it would be able to be moved from Station 1 to an incident, opposed to just having it at the incident. So, but if we maintain the concept of status quo, we would be replacing the two squads and that cascade system for $915,000.
Okay, thanks.
So in FY17, and as I said, I'm literally just speaking about the request to replace the squads here. During this time period, we received a tremendous amount of equipment from the town, but this just relates to just the squads. So in FY17, Chief Scoble requested $275,000 just to replace our squad 2. In 18, the request went up to $290,000 for squad 2, and we had to add in squad 1 at $305,000. Squad 2 during the FY18 was deferred, but also during FY18 we were in the middle of paying for 2 brand new fire apparatus that cost, I think Pam knows better, but it's close to $1 million.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean we totally understand the need to defer there, and it made sense. So in FY19 again, squads 1 and 2 came up. In the FY19 and 20 budget, squad 2 was deferred again. When I came to town, when I submitted my first budget, I really started looking at a lot of this stuff. And I looked at really what could we put on the road. So what I did is I looked at using something that would give us far more flexibility in the ability to use that truck for more than just brush fires. We could use it in many different places. So instead of putting in a request to replace the 2 squads, I asked for this one piece, the multi-purpose vehicle. My request was for $400,000, but when we started through the budget process, we figured that we might be able to take advantage of a grant and have the federal government pay for it in the Assistance to Firefighter grant. So we did apply for that. That was not granted in FY20. However, we did receive a wellness grant for $60,000. We just didn't get the apparatus. So when we really looked at it when I got here, I looked at what were we doing prior to 2020. And basically we were our resource allocation was done by station. So we mirrored our stations. Whatever we had at Station 1, we had at Station 2. But the beauty of what we had prior to 2020, and it was really in the 1990s and early 2000s, we had many members, 10 to 15 members that actually lived in town, and we relied on our recall system to get our apparatus out on the street, past our first apparatus out. So since many of the people lived in town, within 10 minutes, I could fill a recall and put apparatus on the street. So that's why we mirrored it. But when I really started looking at the data when I first got here, what I found was we didn't have the people living in town. Only 2 of our members currently live in town. And then it takes us well over 40 minutes, almost an hour, to staff back 5 members within 15 minutes. It doesn't happen. As my slide says, of the 180 times since I got here. We're only able to staff those members 12.9% of the time. So that's not a really good deal when we're looking at staffing based on our recall. So we want to staff based on this flexible system of resource allocating by incident demand, cross-staffing of the apparatus, and our daily staffing levels. So it really forced me down a road of looking at what can we do to better, deploy our resources. Well, we're going to change it, and we're going to come out with using one piece, this multi-purpose vehicle. So it's a change in resource allocation theory. So basically, safety is paramount. Squad 1 and 2 are well past their life expectancies. They're over 30 years old. Squad 2 is actually out of service, and it was placed out of service due to safety issues, and it cannot be repaired. Squad 1 is being limped along, but if it doesn't pass its spring pump test, which it's slotted not to because it almost didn't pass last year, I'll be forced to remove that from service also. All new apparatus have to meet strict industry standards. So the new MPV will be outfitted with 4 seats and all the firefighting gear to support general fire operations and keeping our firefighters safe. Residents will benefit from this new safety standard because the MPV will respond to all incidents with required equipment and a minimum of 3 firefighters. It will be able to do 4, but we have a minimum of 3 that we want to get there. This truck will easily be able to do that. And then this new truck is actually designed to go off-road. What you're looking at is one of our trucks actually at a fire incident stuck when it went off the road. These are designed to be in 4-wheel drive to handle snow emergencies and that type. They're not designed to go off-road. The new MPV is literally designed to go off-road. It cost us like $3,500 to have that truck towed out of that person's front yard, and we had to replace their front yard. So we don't want to do that in the future. So that's why safety for us is paramount. We don't want to ruin our equipment. We want to have the right thing for the right job. So basically the concept is this, it's a cost benefit analysis. If we maintain our current apparatus inventory, we would need to replace the 2 squads. They now cost $400,000 each. Due to the fire station number 1 building replacement schedule being delayed, we're going to have to replace our SCBA cascade system to the tune of about $115,000. That brings the overall budget to stay in our current apparatus, $915,000. To me, there's no cost benefit at all for this operationally. If we change to the new concept, the MPV concept, we're going to purchase a new custom-built apparatus to replace the 2 squads. We'll have then a fire engine, a brush truck, an air supply apparatus, a utility truck, and a salvage and property conservation truck. It'll be able to do all those functions with the bodies that we can switch on and off that to a cost of $400,000. So the benefit, we only need to purchase 1 chassis, and then we swap bodies based on need, based on our resources and our limited staffing. We have an immediate cost saving to the community of $515,000 by doing that. The big thing I want to show is this concept is not new to Westwood. The DPW has been using a concept swap body truck and just purchased, as you can see on my slide here, the 2nd generation just went online in the last storm. And when I spoke to Todd Korchin, the DPW director, he speaks very highly of the positive gains and efficiency seen in this technology that they use. And they had great success with this. It's newer for the fire department, but it's not new to Westwood. And it's not new to the fire service. It is used in other places, around the country. And I think we could put it really to good use here. So that's basically my presentation in a nutshell, and I would love to answer any questions that folks have.
John, we received, no, we didn't receive. At town meeting, we funded a small amount to complement the potential for a grant. And I forget how much that was, but what do we do with that money in this scenario?
So what I showed you in my presentation is the true cost of the truck. Currently with the grant, and I'll leave this up to Pam, but currently we have $20,000 set aside to offset the share component. We're not going to be able to get the grant. So I would imagine, I'm not sure how that has to be moved around, but I think we're carrying the 380 this year to combine to make the 400,000 for the cost of the truck. Is that correct, Pam?
Okay.
That's correct. We have the 20 from the prior town meeting.
And okay, so the authorization from that can be combined with new authorization for the purchase. And what's the lead time to actually make such a purchase?
To build the truck from, if we get this vote in May, it will take us about a year to build the truck.
So what do you do during that year where Squad 2 is out of service and Squad 1 is heading to that?
We will do what we have to do. We'll try to keep limping Squad 1 along, but if it doesn't pass this test, we'll have to take it out of service. And then we're going to have to heavily rely on mutual aid, which is difficult to do because many of the other departments are in that same boat in getting staffing to do that. So we have a smaller brush truck that we actually utilize for University Ave. That will be put into play more frequently if we have to take Squad 1 out of service.
Okay.
So, Mr.
I
Chair,
think
if I
this-
may just say,
Yeah, sure.
just to follow up on member Hyde's question, just as a reminder to everyone, the chief did come before us over a year ago, and we were trying to get that grant. If we had got that grant, that 1 year lead time would be around now. So we would have that vehicle. So the fact that the chief was looking to use non-tax dollars in order to purchase this equipment, and then unfortunately not able to get it, that really pushed us out a year. So that's really where we are right now.
So I think there's two issues, and one is how do we want to present it in the budget as separate warrant articles? That's number one. And then number two is the merits of the article itself. I'm a little bit concerned that we would present these articles kind of a la carte for FinCom to then pick and choose. I mean, the purview of how best to spend the money is with the board, with this board. So I'm just concerned about what kind of a precedent we're setting as we go forward. I don't want a year where we're looking for 3 and 4 things and suddenly we're laying out 3 and 4 warrants.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think
no, go ahead, Nancy. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, let's finish the discussion on the merits of the proposal to make sure we're aligned on that, and then let's delve into how do we bring it forward. I know you want to do. My mind's thinking the other direction.
No, it's okay. We always come at these things a little bit differently. That's okay.
I know. Well, I had a question for Chris, but I didn't know if Michael had questions. So.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm good. I've been through it enough. I understand.
Yeah, I'd like to turn to Chris and ask you what you think about this.
Well, I think, well, thank you. I applaud the chief for the approach that he's taken. The fact that we're able to reduce the number of vehicles in the fleet and replace it with one for less than half the cost. I think it's a new concept, but like he said, it's something that we have in our public works, and other public works around us have this type of equipment. So it's not foreign to local government. It's not foreign to Needham. It's not foreign to Massachusetts. It is a newer approach in the fire service, but I think with the flexibility and the cost savings for this, I think this makes really good sense, and I fully support the chief's recommendation.
Okay, that makes it easier, John, to go to the next part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Or go back to the part you wanted to talk about. Because I think a very really important case has been made for this. You're right. You know, we have to look at how we deploy resources. Ultimately, town meeting decides, but it's a compelling case that it can be a useful vehicle at less than half the cost of what it would take to maintain the current status of vehicles, and also get more flexibility out of it. And I find that very compelling.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have any objection to it going forward. I mean, I think
I did have one question, Chief Fire. So the 115,000, how will you get through between now and, or is it, can you get through, I guess is the question, between now and the time that if this were to go through for the equipment?
Yes, so we actually have a second cascade system at Station 2 at this time. And when we purchased a new one, because we're also, we put in an AFG grant for $650,000 to replace all of our self-contained breathing apparatus. I just submitted that last week because 11 of those units were taken out. So now our hand is being forced down this road. That system the Cascade system that's at Station 2 cannot support the new system we're buying, but the one we buy with the multi-purpose vehicle will be able to do that. So in the time frame at which we're going to get the new SCBA and all that stuff, Station 2 will be able to limp us through, get us to where we need to get, and fill our apparatus. And then the worst case scenario is we go to our mutual aid partners and fill at their stations. I would hate to do that frequently, but if our hand was forced down that road, we would do it. We've been limping the Cascade system at Station 3. I mean, Station 3, I wish. At Station 1.
Don't you get started, John.
No, you don't.
I'll support that one. Just to let-
At Station 1, we've been limping that along. I think we can get another year out of that. I mean, that one's close to 25 years old. It's leaking and whatnot, but I think we'll get another year out of that, worst case scenario.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so do we feel good on the merits then? Do we feel aligned?
Yes.
Okay, so before we go to the process though, do we feel aligned on the Public Works request?
Yes.
I don't think anybody had any objections. Okay.
No.
So then I guess the question is, do we marry them as one warrant, or do we leave it separate? My personal preference is that it's one, but I don't feel strongly either way.
So I'll make a case in favor of that. I mean, I think there are pros and cons, but a case in favor is if you look at our capital list under the annual capital, we have about 1.3 million. We're making the 5th of 5 payments in that list for 2 pieces of apparatus for the fire department. And over the course of 5 years, it's totaled about $1 million. And we've done that in a grouping of other capital articles every year along the way. Not that we would not support something once we've made multiple payments towards it and stop paying, but even from the get-go, it was combined with other articles. So the tradition is, if we think it should go forward, we haven't hesitated to combine things with other articles. I think Pam's right. Last year, we ran into differences of opinion on some items, and it made it harder for the Finance Commission to evaluate them when there was mixed reviews. I think if we come out of this meeting unified in supporting what the chief and our town administrator have recommended, I think that's a different discussion. I think you know, it doesn't necessarily warrant breaking it out as a separate item. But we have to be unified around it and make sure that we can articulate, as the chief has done tonight, why we think that that's the right thing for the town to do. And I think there are many points that we can make in its favor.
Yeah, so I guess with that, we would merge them as one.
That's the
Keep them
short
as,
way of
keep,
saying it.
I guess the answer is keep them as one, because they're already one. We were
They're already
going
one.
to split them, right?
So
Okay.
I believe
Does that
they
work,
are
Dan?
already one, aren't they?
Yes, they are, yes.
By the way, I troubleshooted my own system and got it up and running. Thank you. Who says I'm not a techie at heart?
Donna Mcclellan better watch out.
Donna's in trouble now. Yeah, Donna's in trouble. Donna's job is in trouble now. Pat figured it out.
Blind
Pat,
luck.
for our next 5 o'clock meeting, could you start troubleshooting at 4? Thank
Yeah.
John, I
4:30.
know that we have the chair of the Finance Commission observing this meeting. Do we want to get any input? Or do you feel good?
No,
with-
I'm fine, Peter. If you're so inclined, you can put something in the Q&A to let us know if you'd like to join the conversation.
And if I could mention one quick item, we did have them as one because they were borrowing. So it is
Right.
easier for us to combine those. I would just like to clarify with the board, perhaps, you know, we've spoken a couple times tonight that the truck is 400,000 and that we did get 20,000 at the last town meeting. Would it be easier if we put in the 400,000 in this article, and then we could show that 20,000 from the prior year? We could use that as like an Article 1 or 2 transfer and close that out so people see it. I'm looking at the notation from the June town meeting. We showed that as a $20,000 swap body truck town match for grant.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Doesn't just say a truck, it says town match for grant. So might that be, maybe we're better off just saying 400,000, and we'll show this article. We'll make sure people know that this is closing out. We're not going to use this 20, we close it back, and then this borrowing will be nice and clean with just the 400,000.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, probably. That makes more sense. Yeah, I agree.
Hi, this is Peter. Can you hear me?
Hi, Peter, we can, welcome.
Oh, hello. It was difficult for me to write a question, plus it might be, I'm not that quick a typist, so maybe I could just jump in here for a sec. Our recollection of this piece of equipment last year is, I don't recall the presentation being as compelling as the presentation has been tonight. And I think when we spoke in our last FinCom meeting, we were recalling some of the difficulties that we had in understanding this. I think if it was last year, and I can go back and double check our presentations, but if it was saying that we would spend 400 and save 900, I don't think FinCom would have had a problem with it. So I cannot answer for FinCom folks right now. I know that when that suggestion was made to break these apart, we were kind of going on last year's information or what we recall from last year. So with that said, to the extent we get this presentation, and I'm sure the chief probably has maybe reviewed this with our subcommittee, our municipal subcommittee, I think it's probably okay to keep those together. I don't think we'd have the problems that we had last year associated with this.
Okay, thank you, Peter.
Okay.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I get that's kind of where we've coalesced.
Right, and I'd agree with Peter. I think it was newer in discussion and coming back at it a second time, and John giving us some additional information has really helped make this make sense. So I think that that's really a positive, and let's leave it alone and not set a new precedent.
Okay. So I don't think we need to take a vote tonight or any specific action. That was just merely a discussion. Okay.
No, because it is as it is. I mean, that's the way it was for last time, so we haven't changed anything.
And we're
But
going
I
to hold
think
off on
it's- John, I think it's really fair if you go, when you go before and when Chris and John are there, that you can speak on our behalf.
Yes.
And we will show the item as 400,000 and close out that other 20. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Okay, we ready to move on?
Thanks, John.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you for giving me the time.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Chris, the Center for Tech and Civic Life acceptance of a grant. You want to talk to that for a minute?
So this, actually Dottie's on. I'll certainly introduce.
Oh,
her.
I'm sorry.
I
Okay,
really
I
want
didn't
to
realize it
make
was
sure
Dottie's.
that, Dottie Powers receives the credit she deserves for applying for this and getting it and having being awarded this grant.
Dottie, do you want to talk to it?
I just called her. She's coming on.
Oh, good. Okay. Oh, good. So she didn't hear me slight her. That was good.
I'm feeling a little feisty here tonight, huh? Oh, there she is.
What is going on tonight?
Little gremlins in the Zoom software.
Pat broke the internet.
Well, he fixed the internet.
Yes, I broke it and fixed it. So give me proper credit.
We're all getting Zoom fatigue.
I get on about 20 minutes early because I'm so nervous I'm going to hit one wrong button.
Mr. Chair, if you'd like, I can just try to give a.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind
We can
waiting.
certainly wait for Dottie if you'd like.
Let's give her another minute.
Sure.
She's coming up.
Okay.
She's having difficulty on her computer, so she'll be right upstairs. You'll see her in a minute.
No.
Hi, Dottie.
There she is.
Hi,
I don't
Dottie.
know, I'm having lots of problems on my computer tonight.
All right. Thank you for joining
Oh.
us.
Thank you, thanks for having me. So I was excited that I applied for a grant to help with some of our expenses during our last two elections with all of the COVID expenses we had. And it was actually an organization, the Center for Tech and Civic Life, who offered the grants. And basically what they did is they offered it to all municipalities. And the way that they gave the money was according to how many registered voters that you had. So I was very excited. We were able to get a grant in the amount of $5,385. And, you know, it was money well spent towards PPE, supplies, staffing. And also part of it was towards, I don't know if you all saw the beautiful ballot box that we ordered. So we had that, and we also were fortunate enough to, besides this grant, the Secretary of State Elections Division also reimbursed us for that ballot box. So we got an additional $2,200 for that. And then we also got an additional almost $3,000 for postage. So, you know, all of these grants really helped out, and, you know, it was very expensive, very costly election season, but it really helped with our expenses.
That's great, Dottie. Congratulations. Thank you
Yeah,
for all
thank
your
you.
work.
Thank you. I was very
That's
excited.
great.
It's always good when we can get some assistance.
So I'll make a motion that we accept the Center for Tech and Civic Life COVID-19 grant of $5,385 as awarded to our Westwood Town Clerk.
You know, sometimes there are seconds that are just no brainers. So I will second this one.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Mrs. Hyde.
Yes.
You're a yes. Mr.
Aye.
Walsh.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you so much, Dottie.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks,
too.
Dottie.
You stay on?
Okay, so the Laura Lane parcel of land, this had gone to town meeting for the town to dispose of this very small parcel. It has gone through a process. We are now at the point of transmitting it, and it will leave our hands. Pat, do you want to add any color to that? Is that about it in a nutshell?
Sure. At May town meeting in 2019 voted to transfer the land from the school committee to the select board, and the select board to sell the land. We had originally thought about trying to do an auction. And then things that could kind of put on the back burner, and the pandemic hit, and trying to figure out how to schedule an efficient auction didn't work. We're fortunate to have Michelle Miller on our staff, who worked with me, and she really took the lead on doing the RFP to sell the land. She crossed all her T's, dotted all her I's. We only had one bidder, who was a neighbor adjacent. They bid $300 more than the minimum asking price. We had a deed drawn up. The deed is in your packet. Tish will have a copy of the deed. All three of you need to go into town hall to sign it. We need a wet signature on a deed to be able to file it. And it was a very, well, slow, but it was an efficient process from start to finish. And again, kudos to Michelle Miller for all her help on this, and to Chris Coleman for his support as we went.
Yeah, that's great. And Pat, can you just remind us, what's the size of the parcel?
Like 5,500 square feet. It's very small. What it was, when Laura Lane went in some 20-something years ago, it cut off this triangle, and the triangle is sitting there not being kept. It's overgrown. It's right in this neighbor's backyard. They want to do some stuff with it and expand their yard. It's probably a win-win for all involved.
Thank you.
As I recall, Pat, they were challenged by, not only was it really not maintained, but it had a lot of weeds and poison ivy.
Thicket kind of stuff, yeah.
They've got young family. I think they've put up a fence since, but clearly it affiliates more with their property than it does with
Yeah,
school
and
property.
in all seriousness, when Laura Lane went through, we weren't maintaining it at all. The Girl Scout house went in across the street and it became an isolated parcel that is of no value to the town. Now we're gonna put $4,000 in our general coffers for it.
Yeah, yeah.
We had an appraisal at the time of town meeting that said it was worth $3,700.
Right.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Maybe. I can find it. I was looking at the picture, which is a few pages away. Okay. I move that pursuant to the town meeting vote on May 6, 2019, that the select board approve the sale and sign the deed for the parcel of land containing approximately 5,590 square feet. Parcel being shown as the triangular parcel abutting the easterly sideline of Laura Lane, bounded on the north a distance of 57.68 feet and bounded on the east by a stone wall, as shown on a certain plan of land drawn by Hoyt Land Surveying, dated October 13th, 2015, and recorded at the Norfolk Registry of Deeds, December 21st, 2015, in Plan Book 644 at page 48.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Thank you all for your work. That was a lot of work disposing of that piece of property. That's great.
So members of the select board, you have to go into town hall to sign the actual deed. And Tish will have to know, or Dottie, depending who's there that day, will have to notarize it. And when you sign it, I've got to ask, will you be signing it of your own free will act and deed?
I will be.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Walsh?
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Hickey, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have the formality of transferring Westwood Media Center funds.
Well, we have another item, John, under new business, the select board letter to Governor Baker.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm working off an old agenda. So the select board has drafted correspondence related to the discussion we talked about earlier with Jared Orsini, expressing to Governor Baker, you know, our firm belief that we should continue with the ability to run our vaccine site. And I don't have the letter in front of me. I don't know, Nancy or Michael, if you want to add any color to that.
Do you want me to read it as
Do you
draft?
mind? Will you read it? Do you mind?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I don't have it.
So it's to His Excellency Governor Baker. We are writing, this is the draft. We are writing to you on behalf of the citizens in the town of Westwood. We are concerned with the recent change in direction by the state to move away from the local municipal distribution of vaccines to focus on the large-scale distribution at locations such as Gillette Stadium and Fenway Park. While we agree these large venues are critical to successfully inoculating people as quickly as supply levels allow, we strongly believe local efforts are the best way to reach the most vulnerable citizens in our community, as well as those people who serve others, including public works employees and teachers. We are proud of our health department and the fire department personnel who planned and successfully implemented a program over the past weeks and were able to utilize all vaccines made available to them. In fact, they devised a system of distribution that allows for vaccinating at least, I think Jared said 400 people per week. The issues associated with successfully rolling out the state's vaccination program have been well documented, and we know you and your team are focused on making improvements. We hope that as you make necessary improvements, you also revisit the way vaccines are distributed. Please allow municipalities, including Westwood, to assist in eradicating this terrible virus. Thank you for your consideration of our request, and be signed by the three of us.
Thank you. Thank you for everybody who worked on putting that letter together. And I know we joined many other towns in expressing those sentiments. So hopefully there'll be a change.
Well, I
Well,
think
not only the towns, but MMA did one too from
Right.
the entire MMA association.
yeah, they had quite a lengthy letter. But I think that Chris should, if we agree to send this letter, Chris should share it with other communities, and if we can help them get the same thing going. But I don't think enough of us can speak up. I think we have to really be heard, because I think that's how it's going to change.
right, so we need a motion though, so they can all sign our signatures.
Okay, I move we send in the letter, the draft letter I just read.
I'll second.
Okay.
You want to make that a better motion? Come on, Michael.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Thank you.
Wow, we're
Thank
just
you.
funny tonight.
I guess so, right? It's the winter and the pandemic is getting to us. Okay.
Mhm.
So that was the, okay, so we're on to appointments and reappointments.
Now you can do Westwood Media Center, John.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, now you guys have thrown me off. Okay, Westwood Media Center, do we have a motion to transfer some funds?
You want to? Standard practice. Okay, I'll read the amounts. I move the select board approve the transfer of $20,693.12 from Comcast, as well as $44,562.82 and $14,398 from Verizon, for a total of $79,653.94 to Westwood Media Center, per the license agreements and the Westwood Media Center agreements signed by the Select Board of Westwood.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Thank you both. So Connor is upgrading as we speak 4 individuals who we will be discussing tonight for appointments. 2 to the Zoning Board of Appeals and 2 to the Fair Housing Partnership. And I have my list in as ZBA first. So I'm going to first ask if Mark Callahan is here. I see the name. Good evening. Thank you for
There he
joining
is.
us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest on the ZBA?
Sure. So my name is Mark Callahan. I've been a resident of Westwood for about 2 years now, along with my wife, and I have an 18-month-old daughter and another one on the way this summer. So I have a bit over 10 years of experience in development and construction, mostly in Boston. So I've appeared before zoning boards before, and I feel like I have an interest in specifically in the ZBA, and I'm looking to get involved more in the community here. And I thought this would be a good way to jump in and get involved and contribute. So
That's great. Thank you for stepping forward. We could always use help. Michael or Nancy, any questions, thoughts?
Mark, you went to this little school in Rhode Island, I understand?
I did go to school in Rhode Island. Yeah. Yep.
I went to the same little school.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Go Bears.
Yeah, thank you for your interest. I mean, it's nice to have somebody with a real estate background. And this is a good, very important role on the ZBA. There are some really strong members on it, but even associate members can sometimes cycle through hearings. You know, they don't all, you can have a more active role as an associate on the ZBA than associates can have in other boards. It's the way it's structured, and there are good people there to learn from, but you know, it's important because it's people's ownership, their properties that are at stake when they come before you, and you have to balance their requests with potential neighbor concerns and find the best solutions. And then sometimes commercial properties come before it, but it's most frequently residential.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Mark, thank you for stepping up. It's always good, especially you're here only a couple of years. That's great. And I wish more people would do it. So thanks for asking to be on a board in town.
Yeah, my pleasure. Looking forward to hopefully getting involved.
We have a motion?
Okay, I just want to see what the term is. Hold on, John. Sorry.
June 30th, 2023.
Okay, I move we appoint Mark Callahan as an associate member on the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire on June 30th, 2023.
Sure you want to do this, Mark? Yes, I'll second.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Thank you, Mark, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mark.
Wish you the best.
Very much.
John, do you want
Yes.
do you want Dottie to swear in Mark? she's here, so she can swear in.
Donna, do you want to do there's another associate member. Do you want to do them collectively when we complete the second applicant?
Sure. Okay.
Does that work better? Yeah. Okay. Mr. Keith Flanders, I see the name. Hi.
Hi
good
there, I'm
evening.
here.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest in the zoning board?
Sure, my name's Keith Flanders. I live at 866 Gay Street in Westwood, and I am a fire protection engineer, so I'm dealing with building codes a lot, but I'm not usually involved with the zoning aspect of things, so I thought this would be a good way to get involved with the community and has something kind of related to my field of practice.
Great, thank you. Nancy or Michael, any questions, thoughts?
I should have asked this of Mark as well, but have you had a chance to observe any of their meetings?
I personally have actually been involved into myself, doing a little bit of construction on my house. So I've gone before the board for a special permit for an apartment and for a variance as well. So I've had some personal experience and have attended some others as well, just to see the workings of it.
Oh, good. And Mark, did you get a chance to see yet?
I did observe a couple meetings over
Oh,
this.
good. Okay. I just wanted to know because you want to know what you're getting into. I think that's great. Thanks, Keith.
No, I just have one quick question. Keith, have you met Mark? Mark, have you met Keith?
No, I have not.
Okay.
All right. I move that we appoint Keith Flanders as an associate member on the Zoning Board of Appeals, also for a term to expire on June 30th, 2023.
I will second.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Mrs. Hyde?
Aye.
Mr. Walsh?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So Donna, do you want to swear in Mr. Callahan and Mr. Flanders? You're on mute.
Yeah, there's chair swapping.
No.
Thought he's still on mute. There you
Hi,
go.
thank you for your service. And both of you, if I could have you both raise your right hands. So do you, Keith Flanders and Mark Callahan, swear that you will faithfully and impartially perform the duties as associate members of the Zoning Board of Appeals?
I do.
I do.
Okay, great. So what I'll be doing is I'll be sending you some information tomorrow. You'll have to do ethics online training, and I'll send you some open meeting law materials. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're on to appointments to the Fair Housing Partnership. Vicky McCready's. Oh, there you are. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, how are
Thank you for
you?
joining us. I'm well, thank you. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest in the Fair Housing Partnership?
Hi, I'm Vicky McCready's. I live on Manhattan Street. And I moved here about 5 years ago. Recently, I have been able now to, for various personal reasons, I have time where I can be involved in the community, and I don't have a background in housing per se. My background is actually as a molecular neurobiologist, research scientist, but I have an interest in equitable housing and in affordable housing. And as such, I've been involved in a couple of conversations, community conversations about various topics, including housing. So I'm actually very excited, and I did attend a fair housing meeting. It was quite interesting, and Sarah sent me a lot of material, which I read, and about the process, and yeah, I'm very interested.
Sarah, I know you joined. Did you want to add anything, Sarah, or?
No, I'm thrilled to have interest and support in joining this group. Vicki has attended a meeting and asked a lot of great questions, and we'd be happy to have her on board.
Great, thank you. Nancy, Michael? No, okay, do we have a motion?
I move we appoint Vicki McCready's or Victoria McCready's as a member of the Housing Partnership Fair Housing Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2021.
I will second.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Congratulations. Thank you for stepping up. Stay with us because we'll go through the next applicant and then have Dottie swear you in at the end. Okay, so I have Harley.
Harley.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I see the name. Hi, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest?
Yeah, absolutely.
Housing?
So my name is Harley Pease. I graduated from George Washington University in 2018. I was a Westwood resident growing up. I graduated from Westwood High in 2014. After college, I joined Teach for America Buffalo and was a teacher there for 2 years, teaching ESL to immigrants and refugees. And my interest in the Fair Housing Committee largely comes from how public schools are financed and all that. And I, got into the weeds a little bit in college about property taxes and how housing and all that kind of, ties into each other. So that kind of started my interest in equitable housing and all that. Kind of like Vicki, I have time right now. Currently, I'm teaching at Westwood High. I'm in the Flex program for students with emotional disabilities and or learning disabilities. And so I have a little time in my hands right now due to COVID. And yeah, I guess that's me.
Great. Thank you. Sarah, anything you want to add?
Chris and I had the opportunity to chat with Harley and learn a little bit about his background and qualifications. And again, we think he'd make a great addition to the group. And I would look forward to hearing more about, the ways that he'd like to get involved. Happy to have him on board.
Nancy, Michael, anything?
I just want to say, Harley, I think I knew you when you were a little tyke in town.
I believe it. I've seen a lot of these names before and
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
I just want to say
Great.
to Vicki and Harley, thank you very much for stepping up. Harley, it's good to see you want to give back so soon. So thank you.
Yeah, I think that's impressive. Okay, I move that we appoint Harley Pease as a member of the Housing Partnership Fair Housing Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Yeah, I'll call the roll. Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. So our town clerk, Dottie Powers, will swear in Victoria McCready's and Harley Pease. Thanks, Dottie.
Hello, I know Harley too. I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you both for your service, and if you could please raise your right hands. Do you, Victoria McCready's and Harley Pease, swear that you will faithfully and impartially perform the duties as a member on the Housing Partnership Fair Housing Committee?
I do.
I do.
Great, thank you. And I will be emailing you tomorrow some ethics information, training, and also open meeting law training guidelines. Okay, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
You can just leave that chair there.
Okay, so we have the meeting minutes from February 8th, 2021. Michael or Nancy, any edits or concerns?
No, I move that we approve the regular meeting minutes from February 8th, 2021.
I will second.
Okay, I will call the roll. Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I will vote aye as well. Is there any other business that may properly come before the board, public or press? I'm seeing no questions in the queue. We'll give it a minute. While we give it a minute, I will just remind everybody that our next meeting will be held on March 8th at 5 p.m. via Zoom. At the conclusion of the March 8th meeting, the select board will adjourn into the Finance and Warrant Commission public hearing that is being held that evening at 7 p.m., also via Zoom remote participation. I am seeing no questions in the queue. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And I will second.
Yeah, we'll call the roll. Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh.
Aye.
Okay, that concludes our meeting. Thank you all very much. Have a great night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.